I know I don't understand your experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I have never had to live it.
Come on now.
I can sympathize, and I can recognize when things are wrong.
We sisters and brothers here. Talk.
For instance, if a black man or woman should never be afraid for their life, for getting pulled over for speeding.
Come on now.
But I have never lived in that fear.
Come on now. Come on.
No black man or woman should ever be reluctant to walk outside for fear of racial profiling. To deny the differences in our skin is to deny the differences in our privilege.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren
and I'm Maureen. So what's very good about this video for today, guys, is the fact that a few palm colored people have started waking up. Others are even woke, you know, and they're only repeating what black people have been saying for the longest time ever.
Right. So this crop of palm colored people, they simply refuse to continue living in their ignorance. And I find it quite beautiful because that is how you start creating change, when you do recognize that there are systems that have been put in place that truly treat black people unfairly,
and in turn keep down black people,
right, and in turn gives that white privilege to palm colored people, right? But before we talk so much, guys, we want you to watch this episode, this video that we put together for you, and then we come back and talk about it. Remember, if you have anything to say, kindly leave it on the comment section, and if it's your first time here, kindly consider subscribing, and we'll come back with our own opinion. Let's watch and then we come back and talk about it.
But I have never been racially profiled.
That's right.
Come on now.
No black man or woman should ever expect to go to jail in their lifetime because of the color of their skin.
Come on now.
But I have never lived in that expectancy.
That's good.
And this is why I don't believe in the phrase, I don't see color.
That's right.
One, to say you don't see color is a lie. We're different. We can all see that. But two, and way more importantly, to deny the differences in our skin is to deny the differences in our privilege.
Come on.
I'm going to say that again because I think it's worth repeating. To deny the differences in our skin is to deny the differences in our privilege. And that leads me to my next point. To deny the differences in our color is to promote ignorance. Ignorance is the reason that systemic racism and oppression is allowed to exist in this country.
That's good.
So why am I here? Why am I up here speaking?
Come on now.
Tell them, sister.
I'm going to talk on about three things. One of those is change, the other is ignorance, and one is discomfort. I'll get there.
Go ahead. Take your time.
Broadly speaking, why am I here? Because I want change. But let me speak on that for a second. Because I think a lot of people want change. I think a lot of people say they want change, but let me clarify. I think a lot of white people think they want change. But here's the thing about that. In order for there to be a true and genuine change, for you, for the black community, for people of color, there has to be an equal and requited amount of change for white privilege.
That's right.
And that is something that white people don't want to think about. They don't want to admit that. White people don't want to acknowledge the head start we have in life just for being born this color. You know what? That is willful ignorance.
Put it on front line.
Willful ignorance is what allows oppression to continue in this country.
Together we stand. That's it.
So I'm going to talk on ignorance for a second. I think one of the biggest things that allows ignorance to continue is our education system.
There it is, baby.
Yes, ma'am. Our education system.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I mean by that is our education is a white man's education.
It is.
It is a white man's history.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell it.
Why does that matter? Again, like I said, I can recognize when something is wrong. And that is wrong. Why? Because when you tell that history, the history that excludes black history and black culture and the black experience, you allow white people to think that nothing is wrong. And when that happens, you allow white people to think, well, it was bad back then, but it's not bad now. Hell no.
That's right.
It's bad now. In fact, some might say it's worse because this is systemic oppression.
That's right.
This is institutional oppression. This is oppression that is not overt, but it is just as powerful, and we are able to hide it.
God Almighty.
And I have more to say, If you want to hear all of it, please come out Saturday.
We'll be there.
Thank you. We appreciate it. But just know the reason I'm here is because I stand by you. I support you. I love each and every one of you out here. We are brothers and sisters to the day we die.
Yeah.
And this is not my time to have my voice heard, but I will use my voice for you. I promise.
Thank you.
The only reason that white people in the United States or anywhere we are, in Europe, in Africa, in Australia, in Israel, wherever we are the colonizers. We are the colonizers. And we live off the expense of the assault, Europe's assault on Africa, the kidnapping of African human beings, the trafficking, all of these things that we hear today. This is where it came from. Hundreds of years of assaulting and stealing everything that African people and Africa as a continent had and putting it into the hands of white people. And so this is why, as the chairman has said, the true class struggle, the true working class in the world is the African and colonized working class, not white people, because all white people, and you know this is true. You and I know this is true by just living our lives and seeing it. All white people sit on the pedestal on the backs of African and indigenous people. And, you know, the statistics are that even poor white people have an easier ability in a crisis to raise $3,000 in an emergency than middle-class African people do. Because we live in social wealth.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode. So this is one of those episodes that I watch smiling because I feel like finally, maybe if their own talks to them in a language they understand, they listen more. And much as, you know, palm-colored people want to continue living in ignorance, I feel like in these days
to
a point
edge where even themselves will be forced to, you know, face the real reality out there.
Right. There was another day we reacted to a video of a brother who was talking about the big word, you know, white supremacy, and he was saying he just debunked the whole idea of it, and he was talking about if why is it that we accept the idea of white supremacy when palm-colored people come to, you know, where blacks are involved, they come, they steal, they lie, they cheat in order to get ahead in life, and then they come out
and then they put obstacles to purposefully you know, slow down black people, you know. And now that you've mentioned that, I remember even in the Olympics that has just passed, you know, there were some very, you know, intriguing pictures that were going around. Guys, okay, let me just say it. You know, when palm-colored people want to beat black people, they'll put other black people in their place. Meaning what? If you assess that situation, would a palm-colored person go head-to-head with a black person and win? Me, that's how I assess that situation in Olympics. When Chinese people are this good, white and palm-colored people, they look for other Chinese-looking people to contest against the Chinese people.
Right, but that was just on the side note.
It was on the side note, you know.
Yeah. Another thing I liked about this girl who was speaking, by the way, she's very young and wise for her age, and I just like the fact that she's facing the monster in the eye. And one thing she said was that why is it that they need to feel they need to promote ignorance, you understand?
And white supremacy.
And white supremacy. One thing she called out was the education system. And she said,
which, even as we've had a lot of black Americans really complain about the education system in America.
Yeah, and you ask yourself, why is it that you feel the need to represent one group of people, you
and
represent them
exclude,
well, and exclude another like it never existed, you understand? with the excuse of not wanting to hurt the younger generation
because they
Personally,
had nothing to do with
it.
slavery, blah
Right.
blah blah.
So they live without knowing. They live feeling like the generation helped the whole entire world become what it is now. What is not acknowledged is the role they played in the whole entire world for it to also
be
go
messed
with the
up like
negative,
that.
to be messed up the way it is. You understand? Why is it that they don't mention who helped build America? Because palm colored people are not going to sit down and do the jobs that they put black people to do
during the slavery era.
Exactly. And I noticed that when a black person brings this up and say they helped build America, it becomes a whole other
controversial
issue.
topic, because we've noticed online a lot of palm colored people, a lot of them usually contest that, saying that black people and African Americans, they helped build America.
Yeah, and therefore what normally follows that statement is, if black people helped build America, why is it that their places of origin, so this we will just put aside the black Americans, right? They start giving examples of people from Africa, people from the Caribbean, and they're like, black people can't even govern themselves.
Black people can't even build anything in Africa. How can they build America? They didn't build. That's how they talk.
Right. And my side, I'm saying, if you're going to be talking about the truth, don't give half truth. Give the whole entire situation. If America, if the white supremacists didn't interfere with foreign governments, tell me where Libya would be right now.
Libya would be a first world country like right now.
Right.
Gaddafi had he was way ahead of his time during his time, And then, Marian, what I usually like to say is, on the point that you've said, if you're going to teach history, have truth it. Like, do the whole history,
Right.
What I usually like to say is, in order for what happened in the past to not repeat itself in the present or in the future, you need to tell your children what happened, in order for them to grow up knowing what happened, so that they don't repeat the same things that you did back then, instead of just teaching them history like everything was all good and sundry. Palm colored people were just moving to Africa like explorers, doing this and that, and what you're not mentioning in that process of exploring, how they came here, how they mutilated and raped women.
And the funny thing is that how palm colored people discover what people like
existed.
Exactly. And what people like King Leopold, who went to Congo, that leader of Belgium, what he did to Africans and how they get shocked. And I'm like, these are things that
they should be knowing already. They shouldn't even be shocked when an African accuses their former leader of doing ABCD.
Right. And in America, I feel like the Black American history is so important that even us as Black people in Africa, when we learn it, we need to know it, because these are patterns of events that
will affect every Black person on earth. And likewise, whatever happened in colonization here in Africa, I feel like Africans need to be told the bare truth, how it happened, so that they can recognize the patterns when it starts happening. Like right now, a lot of things are moving on the ground, and Africans are just there because most of them have not been taught how to be conscious of these patterns that you're talking about.
Yeah, so personally, I feel like I'm very, very happy, because at least, a long time ago, I feel like back in the days, it used to be dangerous for even a palm-colored person who wanted to defend Black people. You'd be known as, the hard N word that I cannot say. You'd be known as that word lover, So you didn't want to be labeled that, so you didn't speak up about these issues.
Yeah, but now like really times have changed, and everybody should just do better, because even in the other clip, the other woman who was speaking on Africa and how it is the palm-colored people who go all around the world colonizing and kidnapping, and she says the palm-colored people, they've really played a big role in the growth of human trafficking.
Right.
So it's things like that we say needs to be talked about, not only by the Black community, but also by the palm-colored people, especially the ones who are woke, who know the real true history.
They need to teach this in schools. You guys, I feel like these are conversations that needs even to be had amongst peers. When you sit down as a palm-colored people, have that challenging conversation that is so uncomfortable for you, but it's promoting knowing the truth. When when you're a black person and you have palm colored friends, my question is, do you also try to educate them so that they can remove that ignorance that they are living in, you know?
Yeah, so guys, I don't know, let us know what you think about this episode, but I personally feel like right now with the edge of digitization and, you know, smart cell phones, like right now nobody has the right to claim they didn't know. It's just a Google away, and if Google misrepresents, I'm sure you can find one black person who is creating content on black history, you know, and you can educate yourself on what happened.
But I feel like for as long as, just as she said, this is not, you know, when black people say it, it's taken as race baiting.
Yeah,
but when she says it, I feel like it lands differently. Because she has said white people, they will continue being quiet for as long as this white supremacy system benefits them, you know.
Yeah, you know, I usually feel like so long as they've not, most of them, not all of them, so long as they've not walked a mile in black people's shoes, and to be quite honest, they will never, because their skin color is completely different, you know. So long as they've not walked in the miles of as how the struggles black people go through, they will never truly understand to the core what black people have to go through on a daily basis. Yeah, you guys imagine if one day God inverted this world in such a way that black people are at the top of the pyramid in such a way, even the systems that will be set, you know, will be to benefit black people and not, as in like just.
But
God.
you don't have to look so far. Look at South Africa. The palm colored people who are living below the poverty line.
Yeah,
they're really going through it. And you know, because in some parts of the world, their kind of skin color really accords people privilege. But in South Africa, when you're below the poverty line, you're nobody.
It doesn't accord you any privilege.
Exactly, you're some of them like that black person.
Yeah, and I think that is why most palm colored people, especially in America, Europe, whatever, why they don't want to fix the system is because they don't want to end up like the poor white South Africans.
And you know, you guys, for palm colored people, they've been raised to believe that they're the main character of the shows. They are superior, they're all that and then some. So
they can't bear it when they come under the black people.
Exactly. So let us know what you think about this episode. As usual, we thank you so much for catching our episode. Let's catch you on the next. Consider subscribing if it's your first time here, right? And leave us a comment on what you think about this episode.